Okay. Let's look at this passage from January 2023, Family Seaside Adventure. Have some of you read it already while you've been revising? Now, when we meet a word that we don't know, we're going to try and see if we can figure out the meaning before we look it up, right? Durante mi infancia. Oh, sorry, we did read the title. Family Seaside Adventure, right? All right. So, durante mi infancia, cada año, mi familia y yo visitábamos una playa en la costa para pasar tiempo nadando, comiendo y jugando juntos. Any strange words here? Lo más emocionante de este viaje anual es la aventura del snorkel para ver la gran variedad de peces. All right, so what is the best thing about this vacation? The best part of this vacation? What is a snorkel and what are peces? Mi papá normalmente alquilaba un bote para llevarnos a aguas más profundas. All right. Alquilaba is from what verb? Alquilar, and what does that mean? Un bote. All right, and we should know these words, right? Más profundas, aguas más profundas. Okay. También explorábamos algunas cuevas cercanas, pobladas por murciélagos, aves, y también plantas acuáticas. Okay, so this we could figure out, right? Durante mi última visita a esta playa, ocurrió un evento extraordinario. Well, actually, before we go to the second paragraph, tell me about what you gathered from the first paragraph. This person is remembering what time in their life. And what is it they always used to do? Right, childhood time, and the thing that they love to do was snorkel. Great. And when they went to snorkel, they went to see what? The large variety of what species? Fish, right? So this is prime. You see these words here, nadando, comiendo, jugando juntos. We could expect to get questions on what they did, and we could expect to get questions on what they like to see. Right, fish. Fish, species, the fish that we see, not the fish that we eat. Right? All right. And what did the dad normally do from alquilar, which means un bote. Bote looks like what word? Bote looks like boat. We're probably used to barco, but that's all right. Bote, boat. Good. So what did he have to do to get a boat? He's not bringing his own boat. He has to rent it, right? So he used to rent a boat to carry them to deeper waters, aguas más profundas, right? Okay. Then they would go snorkeling. What would they like to see? What are cuevas cercanas? Cuevas means caves, nearby caves, poblados por murciélagos. So what lives in caves? The aves. Aves, you probably know, right? What are aves? All right, so bats, murciélagos, right? So please note the words, right? Birds and aquatic plants. Okay. Durante mi última visita a esta playa, ocurrió un evento extraordinario. So there was an extraordinary event during the last visit to the beach, right? Mientras regresaba a la orilla, what's la orilla? The bank? So while they were returning to the bank, so they're swimming in the water, they're snorkeling, right? Después de bucear con mi padre. What is that word? Diving, right? Observé un grupo de perros ladrando ferozmente. So I observed a group of dogs barking ferociously a algunos pequeños objetos en la arena. So barking at some small objects. Where is la arena? In the sand, right? I guess because often arenas have sand. A medida que el bote se acercaba. So what is that? A medida que el bote se acercaba. What is acercaba? Acercarse is when one moves closer to something, right? So what is the whole expression telling us? So a medida que is just another way to say as. So as the boat was getting closer, me di cuenta de, so I realized that no eran simplemente pedazos y basura en la playa, como pensaba. Right, what are pedazos? And what is basura? We know basura for sure. Probably like driftwood. Probably just pieces on the beach, right? Pieces of wood on the beach. And trash, right? Como pensaba. Sino que en realidad, so was on the contrary, it was in reality, eran tortugas, bebés recién nacidas, right? So baby turtles, just born, but in the turtles case, we would say newly hatched, recently hatched, right? But literally just born. Okay. Retorciéndose en la arena, estas diminutas criaturas trataban de regresar al océano. So what are they trying to do? When turtles hatch, what do? They try to head to the water, right? So they're twisting up in the sand, writhing in the sand, struggling in the sand, right? Let's go with twisting. So twisting themselves in the sand. These small creatures were trying to return to the ocean. Al llegar a la orilla, so on arriving at the bank, rápidamente, quickly, tomé un palo grande. I took a large stick. Y alejé a los perros. Frightened them, advanced on them, tratando de proteger las tortugas, trying to protect the turtles, mientras continuaban su camino al océano while they were continuing on their way to the ocean, right? Trying to shoo away, trying to move away. Um, okay. Any other words that I didn't highlight and discuss the meaning of that you want to ask about? Okay, please say if there is, right? Please note any unfamiliar words that you're not done noting yet. I'm going to pause for. Okay, let's do dialogue. Um, okay, so let's look at the question. We're writing 80 to 100 words. In Spanish, right? Your brother Paulo, or we get 0 marks. Your brother Paulo needs to apply to university to continue his studies. Write the conversation between your brother and your father, giving your brother's responses. Brother and father giving his responses. Okay. Responses to all of the cues listed below must be included in a completed dialogue. Discussion of what your brother wants to study and why. Choice of a university. Where he will stay while at university. What he will need. Promise to do his application right away. All right, so it's a good idea to skim through the whole dialogue before you start. But in reality, when it comes time to answer like on the 2 lines, you probably just need to double check what is below it to see what you were supposed to have said, right? So let's go through the whole thing. Bueno, hijo, has decidido que quieres estudiar cuando vayas a la universidad. So have you decided what you want to study when you go to school, university? And he says, es una buena materia, especialmente si quieres entrar en este campo. So it's a good subject, especially if you want to enter in this field. Guys, are you all getting a lag when I speak? One person is. I'm wondering if everybody else is too. All right, other people are not. Okay, thanks. All right, no es un gran problema, hijo. So it's not a big problem, son. Debes elegir la universidad que tenga el mejor programa para ti. So you have to choose a university that has the best program for you. So you'll notice the passage is using, not the passage, the dad is using subjunctive because these are things that are not, that haven't happened yet, right? But you don't have to use subjunctive. Right? Just, that's what it is if it's looking strange to you. Okay. Entonces ya tienes las respuestas. Si esta universidad ofrece. So then you already have the response. If this university offers lo que quieres, what you want, y facilita tu entrada and facilitates your entrance in the profession that you wish, you should choose it. Right? Debes escogerla. Excelente, hijo. Hazlo pronto porque estoy seguro de que esta universidad es popular y tiene espacios limitados para lo que quieres estudiar. So, excellent, son. Do it soon because I am sure that this university is popular and has limited spaces for what you want to study. Paulo says something and then the dad says, no te preocupes, hijo. So don't worry, son. Esta universidad tiene residencias para los estudiantes, o puedes quedarte con tu tía Carla. right? So don't worry. So look, they've given you some vocabulary in the dialogue. Dialogue always gives you some vocabulary. It's given you how to talk about dorms on campus, residencias para estudiantes, right? Then Papa says, bueno, si te sientes más cómodo con esta decisión, te voy a apoyar. So if you feel more comfortable with this decision, I'm going to support you. ¿Qué vas a necesitar, sorry, para la universidad? And then what will you need for university, right? And he says, then we can buy it. But first, you need to be accepted in the program. Good idea. If you send it too late, you are not going to be accepted, right? So here too is vocabulary for sending in the application. NVR, right? So I'm going to send my application, right? NVR, right? Mi aplicación. So, I think dialogues, well, why are dialogues scary to us? They give us help because they have vocabulary for some of the things they're asking. We can do it piece by piece, right? We don't have to remember everything. We just have to look at the line below it for to know what to write, right? So think about what makes them intimidating, and let's discuss that while we do this. All right. So let's get started. This is 2021, June 2021, right? I'm going to write in the margins, but I will probably run out of space. So, take notes as we go, right? Because I'll have to clear it away. All right. Have you decided? So first, papá, bueno, hijo, has decidido qué quieres estudiar cuando vayas a la universidad. So what do you want to study when you go to university? And then the response is, it's a good subject, especially if you want to enter in that field. So tell me, what's the subject he's going to study? Doesn't have to be anything complicated. It's just a subject that you probably know now that one can study at university. Right. You can filter with whatever you want. Biología, química, física, psicología, los negocios, sure. Any of those will work, right? All right. Las ciencias, you could even say la medicina if you would like. All right. So we're going to try and add in some words. We might say, sí, papá. Right? Creo que, I think that. Voy a estudiar. And then you could put in your subject, right? I'm going to put las matemáticas. But you could put whatever you want. Right. Instead of voy a estudiar, I'm going to change that to estudiaré. Why? So that I can show that I've used future tense, right? And if you need to add words, we don't know if we'll need to add words yet because we haven't done the rest, but we could always put in a sentence here. Like, I've always loved math, so I adore maths or something like that. Well, whatever your subject is again, right? Or maths is very interesting to me, right? So what I have to remember is because matemáticas is plural, I have to remember if I'm saying like me encantan or me gustan, I have to say it with an N. Me encantan. Las matemáticas. Right? This is a lie. Maths was like the one subject I had to take lessons for in CSEC. It's not a fun time. All right. So good. We're good there. All right. We're on to the next piece. He says it's a good subject, especially if you want to enter in this field. And if we look at the next, so this is our cue from here. No es gran problema, hijo. Debes elegir la universidad que tenga el mejor programa para ti. So what do you think Paulo would have said for his father to say, that's not a big problem, son. You have to choose a university that has the best program for you. What do you think he's probably said to his dad? Okay, I think he probably said to his dad, I don't know what school to choose, or I don't know where to go, or I don't know which university to pick, right? Because he has choice of a university is the next point we have to discuss. But so his dad said, you know, choose the one that's best for you. So when choosing a school, people might think of criteria like, well, perhaps the main criteria is can I afford it? Then there's also if I go there, where would I live? Then there's also will they accept me, right? All right. So he might even say, I have a problem. So because the father replies, that's not a big problem, son. So again, if we're trying to make up words, we could say, pero tengo, and we can use language from the response. Un gran problema. Right? Problema is masculine, even though it ends in an A. Yes, if it's in the same country, look for the one closest home. All right. And what is the problem? Debes elegir la universidad que tenga el mejor programa para ti. So I don't know how to choose a university. I don't know which university I want to attend. I don't know which is the best university for me. Whichever one of those you feel like you could get out on paper, you could put, right? So I'm going to put no sé, which is, so cuál is, la universidad para mí, for me, right? You could say, no sé cómo elegir una universidad, right? I don't know how to choose a university. So this is another option. No sé cómo elegir una universidad. All right, what's the next thing then? Okay, so he has to say something, and then Papa says, entonces ya tienes la respuesta. There you have the answer. Si esta universidad ofrece lo que quieres, y facilita tu entrada en la profesión que deseas, debes escogerla. So this is actually a little complicated. Look at it. If this university offers what you want and facilitates your entrance in the profession that you desire, you have to choose it. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be complicated, but it seems to be suggesting that if he goes to whatever school he's thinking of, he'll get assistance to find a job afterwards. So what do you think he says? You can tell me in English. The last thing the father said was you have to choose a university that has the best program for you. Now, you don't have to put a real university name. You can make one up, right? Okay, let's look back at the queue for a second. The dad says, so we're working on a response now for here, right? And his father is going to say, then you already have your answer. If this university offers what you want and helps you get a job after, you have to choose it. Right? So we need to talk about a university and we need to say it offers what we want and it will help us get a job after, right? Okay, so if I don't know the name of the university, can I say a university in and I pick a country? So I could say La Universidad de Madrid, for example, is el número, okay, so if I want to be fancy, I could say it's el número uno del mundo. It's number one in the world. E. Now I could use language from the question, right? It says ofrece, so I could say ofrece, it offers. Matemáticas. Right now I put Madrid, but you could put anywhere you want. You can make up a place, you could put a different country, right? And I can put in this piece. I can't say tu entrada because I'm not saying your entrance, but I will say mi entrada. Right? I can say after my studies, después de mis estudios. Right? Facilitate, so facilita. I'm gonna put la entrada in la profesión. It's like the idea is a placement program, I guess. A little bit. Maybe it's not that complicated. Right? And I can put in este campo in this field. Right? So we've used words from the prompt to help us fill out our answer. Any other answers you came up with you want to check? Feel free, right? Oh, beautiful. Okay, so look, Alejandro has this other option for us here that I'm going to share with the class, right? Look, it's in the chat, right? He oído, so I've heard que una universidad en Madrid, a University of Madrid, or wherever, right? In Jamaica, in Colombia, in Peru, wherever, right? Tiene el tema que me gustaría estudiar. So it has the subject I would like to study. Y dice que pueden ayudarme. So they say that they can help me a conseguir un trabajo después, right? And this is nice too because it shows off different vocabulary from the prompt. All right, so continuing. I'll give you a ease up after this next answer, so in case you're writing things down, right? So Papa says, so we're looking at, so Paolo responds, right? Because father said, that's your answer. They offer what you want and help you get a job, right? And Papa says, excelente, hijo. Hazlo pronto. So he has to do something quickly. What does he have to do quickly? Porque estoy seguro, because I am sure, this university is popular and has limited spaces for what you want to study. So what does he have to do? He has to apply, right? All right. Thoughts, what are we going to say? Okay, so tengo que, so we might say what? Bueno, right? Just as a, okay, good, right? Okay. Or vale even, right? Tengo que reinar, los formularios, maybe. I have to fill out the forms, we could say, tengo que, solicitar, apply for a place, un plazo, pronto, right? All right, so we are here now. And Papa says, no te preocupes, hijo. Esta universidad tiene residencias para estudiantes. Is this a typo? Yeah, I think it's a typo. Residencias, right? Okay, so what is Pablo going to say? If I go there, where am I going to live? Right? Pero si voy a Madrid, right? We have to remember questions, right? So donde, where will I live? Donde voy a vivir? Right? And then father says, don't worry, son. There's student housing, or you can stay with your aunt Carla. Bueno, sí, okay, so then Paulo must state his preference. What do you think his preference is? Well, if he's making plans all this time to go to university in Spain, we can't just switch gears and tell him he has to stay in the country. So the preference has to be either Madrid or the auntie. What's the preference going to be? Auntie? Okay. Why would it be auntie? Okay, so to me, Ami, right? Oops, two words, two words. Ami Ver, in my opinion, right? Preferiría. I would prefer quedarme, right? And look, we're getting words from up here, right? We just have to remember to change the pronoun. Con mi tía Carla. And if we need words, we could say why. Why would we prefer to stay with Auntie Carla? And if it was school, you would say preferiría quedarme en la universidad, right? Con otros estudiantes. So perhaps it would be es más barato, it's cheaper. Y my aunt can help me. Mi tía puede ayudarme con with different things, varias cosas, right? Okay. So then what does the father say? Good. If you feel more comfortable with that decision, I support you. ¿Qué vas a necesitar para la universidad? And then Papa says, entonces podemos comprar todo esto, pero primero necesito. So we can buy all of this, but first you need to be accepted in the program. So it cannot be things that we cannot buy, right? It must be things we could go to a store and buy. So tell me, we're going to university, what are we going to need? Thoughts, guys? What we're gonna need if we're going to school? All right, laptop, books, stationery, a backpack, facial. So anything you could say that sounds reasonable, of course, you could put that, right? So necesito, or you could, we've already used conditional, we've used future, so we could give it a rest, right? But necesito libros, um, um, una computadora, ropa, right? Um, right? And then the father says, yeah, it's just a list. That's a few things, right? It's not actually every single thing we would need if we were going abroad. Um, We can buy all that, but first you have to be accepted. And Paulo says something, and father says, good idea. If you send it too late, you will not be accepted. So what are we going to do? Right? So voy a enviar mi aplicación handwrite it. What is this? Inmediatamente. Did we already use immediately? No, we use pronto, right? Better word to use is solicitude. Aplicación is more right? All right, any questions? Anybody want to ask anything? Go back to anything? You know, I remind I said this a while ago, I'll say it again. From next week, we go back to the Wednesday Spanish class for the lower forms and the Thursday Spanish class for the upper forms, right? Next week is our last class before paper 2. Following that, if the older students would like to continue until paper 1 and we do paper 1 practice, you all are welcome to do that, right? Because paper 1 is the end of May. So we will have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, 4 weeks for paper 1 on Thursdays. All right. Okay, so let's look back at the situations here. I remember doing C. I don't remember doing D. Did we do this? Your neighbor wants to know if you can babysit tonight. Write a text message you send to him or her asking 2 questions about the job. Your friend invites you to go out with his or her cousin. Write a text message you send declining the invitation with a reason. Did we do these? All right, let's try these 2. And yeah, I don't remember doing these either, right? Your neighbor wants to know if you can babysit tonight. What are 2 questions you might ask? You can tell me in English if you don't feel up to the Spanish, but probably you might ask about the time. You might ask, it's your neighbor, so you know the children, right? You might ask about if you have to cook or what they will be eating for dinner. All right, so we might ask until what time? Sure, we might say hasta qué hora. So we might write back sí, pero Hasta qué hora? We put the question mark around the things that we're asking. Now, remember the instructions tell us one sentence at most, right? So we might also say, a qué hora acostarse los niños? What time do they go to bed? Children go to bed, right? We might also ask, tengo que cocinar? Do I have to cook? Or you could ask, ¿qué vas a, what, no, not you, but ¿qué van? What are they going to eat for dinner? ¿Qué van a cenar? ¿A qué hora? Actually, guys, look at my tense here. Check over the grammar of the second question. A qué hora do the children go to bed? So I have to conjugate here, right? So it would be se acuestan. Right? Okay, next one. Your friend invites you to go out with his or her cousin. Write the text. You send declining the invitation with a reason. So it doesn't have to be a complete sentence. It could just be, I'm sorry, I can't. And then what's the reason? I feel sick. I have a lot of homework. I have to study. My mother said no. My parents are not allowing it. Yes, okay, we have to babysit. Sure. Yes. So lo siento, pero no puedo. Yeah, we could say we don't like your cousin, so porque no me gusta tu primo, right? Porque tengo que cuidar niños. I have to take care of, I have to babysit, sure. If you want to say my mother said no, my parents said no, mi madre, my mother, no me permite. Yes, I'm very busy. Estoy muy ocupado, ocupada, right? My mother is not allowing me. Mis padres no me permiten, right? Okay, we could go to the next set here. Your family just won a vacation abroad, right? The text message you sent to your friend giving 2 details about the vacation. So we do not have to say that we just won the vacation. We just have to say 2 things about them. About it, sorry. So it could be, right, where you're going on for how long, right? So we could say, vamos a where are we going? España. Okay, yes, Mexico, great. Nobody goes to Spain on vacation, boy. For those semanas, if only for 2 weeks, right? Okay. You and your friend plan to go to a football match, but it has been postponed. Write the text message you sent to your friend explaining why the match was postponed and saying where it will be held. Was there a good reason for a match being postponed? Rain, yeah. Okay. Postpone, postpone, postpone. Postponer, right? But if we don't know this word in the exam, we could get around it. So el partido será, will be, right? La semana que viene, next week. ¿Por qué? Because está lloviendo. It's raining today, hoy, right? O hay demasiado, okay, hay una tormenta, there's a storm show. Lluvia, yeah, okay, llueve mucho. Right, before we go to the dramatic place of the field is flooded, or the field is on fire, or we start with the simple explanation, right? Look for the simple explanation that you learn the vocab for in like Form 1, right? All right, your neighbor is having a party and wants to borrow an item from your father. Write the text message he or she sends to your father asking to borrow the item and saying when it will be returned. What do you think they want to borrow? That you can say in Spanish. Okay. What do you think they want to borrow? Then we'll say it in Spanish. Yeah, okay, so a grill parrilla could be the thing. So what else might we borrow? Okay, so puedo, this is can I, right? Tomar prestado. Can I borrow? To Paria. Y I will return it, devolverá. La devolveré, right? What's tomorrow? Mañana, right? If you don't want to say, if you don't want to use prestado, you could say necesito. Por favor. Okay, speakers would be altavoces. Oopsie. Altavoces. Possibility for cooler hilera. Hilera. Right? Okay. 1 minute and I need to clear away, right? You can no longer be a member of your community youth club. Write the text message you sent to the president of the club giving 2 reasons why you have decided to drop out of the club. Why are we dropping out of the club? Probably we don't have any more time. We have to have enough free time. We have to study more. We don't like your cousin who's in the club. Oh my God. Because everybody in the club treats you badly? Oh no. Okay, this is Alejandro's answer in the chat here. We decided to leave the club. Okay, todos me tratan mal. Oh my God. Guys, the club is boring and people are stupid. Oh my. Oh my. Ah. I'm trying to assign these things to everybody and I'm sending it to one person by mistake. These are great answers. I love them. All right, so I've decided to, I have to leave the club. Tengo que abandonar el club because again, maybe your mother doesn't allow you. Porque I have too much work, demasiado deberes. Y and what else? It's too hard. It's demasiado difícil. Oh, now I think of it. No tengo el tiempo libre. I don't have free time. All right, this last one looks like fun. Your brother's been doing something that you know your parents will not approve of. Write the note you leave on his bed mentioning what he is doing and how your parents will react. So we are limited by what we can reasonably say in Spanish. So we cannot come up with some of the crimes that our actual brothers might be committing. So we may start with Jose. Okay. What is he doing? Estás. Probably not estás. I put one option. I know that you are using the car without permission, and her parents are going to get angry. Yeah, you see, remember that you are limited by what you can see. So think small before we think too high and we trap ourselves in a corner where we don't have any vocabulary, right? Yeah, okay, so leaving the house to meet with your girlfriend to see your girlfriend is another option. And you could use salir por la noche or even por la madrugada because that's very early morning. So like that's clearly a sneaky time when you shouldn't be out. Okay, you're coming back home too late, so regresar tarde. Why wouldn't his parents know that? What are they doing? Stealing money could be another thing, was to steal. Robar, right? Money from your parents is another thing. Robar dinero. Um, yeah, all right. But try and pick commonplace things, right? Don't immediately go to involved in a criminal gang or selling illegal substances on the corner or growing plants you shouldn't be growing in the backyard, right? Stick with things that you know how to say. Okay. Any question? Anything anybody wants to ask? Can I clear with your writing? Anybody still using your writing? Let me know, right? Okay, so I'm clearing this away. And let's talk about anytime. Let's just take the last 5 to 10 minutes of class and back at this. You recently participated in a major event in your country, right? The letter you sent to your friend in Panama telling him or her about the event. What do you think this event could be? We did a practice dialogue with the singing competition. And so it could be this, it could be any competition really. But are there any other events that you might want to write about? Okay, so it has to be an event, not an activity. So fundraisers, unless it's like a big fundraiser that your school did and you were involved in planning for the fundraiser, then that might not work. Like how schools have a May Fiesta or a what else do they have? A fun day or a um maybe even a fete. All right, so we are happy to use paid singing competition for this letter. All right, so you all have a homework assignment for next week for the returning the student, the Thursday students, right? And your homework assignment is this. Look through as many past papers as you can and come back and tell me the questions you feel that you cannot answer because you don't know the vocab or you don't understand what they're asking or anything like that next week, right? That is the homework assignment. Okay. I think everybody is tired, so we're going to stop here a little early.